Welcome back to episode 7 of the Middle-aged Bodcast with me, Raging Rich.
And me, T.A. Shelano.
And T.A, we are back. It is episode 7, as I said. Can't believe we're over halfway of the Middle-aged Bodcast already on season 1.
And a real shout out to all our listeners worldwide. The stats don't lie. We've got people listening in the UK, Europe, USA, Canada. So a massive hello to all of you who are listening in. We are absolutely delighted that you're enjoying listening to the Middle-aged Bodcast.
Also, just a quick shout out to everyone to say that we have a Linktree address now, and that is in the description for the podcast. So if you are interested in following us on socials, you can find a link to all of that in the description.
Okay, well, obviously listeners are most keen on our weekly weigh-in, Rich. So let's have a drum roll, please, for this week's weigh-in. T.A. Shelano has put on £4.
Shocking, absolutely shocking. The grief you gave me the other week as well, after my Chinese takeaway debacle. What happened?
Well, we'll talk about that in a second, but we'll do your weigh-in stats obviously first before we get into having a go at mine.
Okay, put me out my misery.
So this week, Raging Rich is a non-mover, so he is neither put on nor lost.
I'll take that. It's been a busy week at work for me. So actually, yeah, the busiest week of the year. So you know what? I'll take that.
Well, I can blame work in a roundabout way for my appalling performance this week, Rich, because I actually went out with some colleagues from a different part of the country who I don't see very often on the night before the weigh-in, and we had a few drinks. Then when I got home, I ordered a pizza. So what can I say, really? I had a go at you, obviously, a couple of weeks back when you'd had a Chinese takeaway the night before a weigh-in, and then here's me going out having beers and pizza and then expecting something different on the way in the morning. It's a really poor performance, and I'm really disappointed, mainly because I've been doing really well on the exercise as well. So massively been back in with my Sean T for a good few weeks now, and there is no logic whatsoever in having Sean's brilliant routines creating sort of sweat and sort of really pushing the limits, only to then ruin it with calorific, cholesterol-filled food that, of course, is also leading me to be well behind in the challenge with you now. And to be honest, that's making things even worse, that I'm now at real risk of losing this challenge. I'm going to have to literally go on soup now to do any chance of winning this challenge now.
Well, actually, speaking about the challenge, we haven't established what the forfeit's going to be for you if you do lose. So we'll have to have a think about that. If I lose, I've got to do a session of insanity. I think it's the recovery session, because otherwise I'm not going to do the thing. So, if there's anything people can suggest for TA that might be a suitable forfeit, I want him to watch some Marvel movies, but that's not going to happen. So anyone who's got some suggestions, please do offer them up to us.
I'm sorry to any of our listeners who do like the Marvel films. It's just not my thing, and so to be fair, that would be a punishment. And you've given me 2 levels of motivation in the last 30 seconds. There is one, I don't want to watch Marvel films, and the other one is I do want to watch you do insanity, even if it is just the core cardio and balance recovery session, because it will be a level of entertainment. We'd almost have to consider, I don't know about a podcast, turn it into like a video of sort of ultimate fitness with Raging Rich. I can see it now. So,
well, we could potentially do that and put it on something like Patreon, but I don't know about that. But yeah, certainly I will be doing the challenge, and that's something if it does turn out that I am indeed the loser of the challenge at the end of season 1, then obviously that's going to be something I'm going to have to do. I'm not really looking forward to that prospect, but we'll see how things go.
Yeah, well, you don't need to inspire me to say pause the podcast and I'll go and do a couple of 100 sit-ups just to even do anything to have any chance of winning this challenge now. But yeah, so it's a definite must do better for next week, and I'm determined that I will be coming back at you for the challenge, because you are a little bit ahead of me at the moment, which is it's frustrating.
One thing I will say actually that's been quite interesting for me, I haven't done as much exercise as I should have been doing. It's more cutting out things, drinking more water instead of fizzy pop, and also just trying to eat a little bit better, and I've found that has helped me a lot, probably because I just used to eat a lot of rubbish too much too often. Just cutting that out has really helped me, so that's been good. I do need to get back onto the other elements of the challenge, and whether win or lose, it's been a real beneficial thing of doing, and need to do more of that.
I mean, I think we're obviously talking about the negative effects here as well of me going out the night before a weigh-in, but the positive effects of that as well is I mentioned it was with colleagues obviously I don't see very often, and again that was a nice evening. So it's a balance, isn't it? Obviously if that had been the following night after the weigh-in, I probably wouldn't then have this guilt feeling of it. I'd have weighed in, been better, and thought, yeah, I can go out and have those drinks and that pizza tonight because I've got another week until the challenge. Whereas instead, when you with your Chinese takeaway, suddenly you have that impact that then has makes you feel really bad. But actually, I really enjoyed that evening. It was really great, and shameless plug here for the Doctor's Hidden Patients, but I actually sold some advanced copies to colleagues that night, and been signing books ahead of that launch coming in October. So it wasn't all bad, is what I'm saying. So you have to. Life is about balance, isn't it? And I think you and I often don't get that balance right, but that's what doing the Middle-aged Bodcast is trying to encourage us to be more mindful of what we're doing, as we're really at that sort of age where we need to be thinking about it if we want to see 50.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it is like you say, it's about balance. It's not about, oh, well, you're getting into your 40s, you should just stop doing everything you enjoy. It's not about that. It's just about forming good habits. I think that's the thing. So taking some of those bad habits that you have, just reducing the amount of times you do things like having a takeaway or going out for beers, and then saying, well, actually, I should be cooking more. I should be doing a little bit more exercise and things like that. So forming those good habits, and it's about making them into habits as well, isn't it? I've already said I should be doing more of the exercise. I'm not getting on the exercise bike enough. That needs to become a habit. I need to get used to doing it on a regular basis, so then it does become part of my routine, and I know, okay, I've got up, I've eaten some breakfast, I'm ready for the day, and then I can go, okay, let's do a bit of exercise or something to that effect.
I mean, the thing that I talk obviously a lot about the Sean T routines, which I do really enjoy, and once you get into that habit of following it, it becomes a habit. I mean, my approach to it is I try and get up early in the morning, literally within 20 minutes of getting up, trying to hit play on the routine, and that then sets me up for the day. I think we talked about that before, but the thing with that as well is it is a schedule. There's a calendar of things to follow, which I think is really helpful if you're trying to start a routine, even if it's not something like that. But if you've got something where somebody's doing live workouts, or you can just put that time in your diary for something that you want to do, and it's making that time for things, because in the modern world we're sort of often losing so much time to different things, and then the things like exercise, recreation, things that are really good for your physical sort of mental well-being, are not getting prioritised. So it's really important to try and think about some of that.
You made that comment about the calendar, and it's quite interesting because for the listeners who obviously maybe don't know, I'm quite into my tech, and I have quite a lot of different things, so like Amazon products that I use to try and remind me of dates and things like that, and obviously on your phone you've got your calendar, things like that, but it's not really very useful because it doesn't always pop up in the way that you want it to. I have actually got a calendar in my kitchen, an actual physical monthly calendar, and I've started writing things in there, and that has been really useful. I'm remembering a lot more things that I need to do, rather than saying, I'm not going to say the wake word for Amazon Echoes out there, because everyone will be complaining we've set them off. But obviously you say that and then say, what's on my calendar for the day? Well, you forget to do that. But if you just get going into the kitchen, you see it there, you know what's coming up, you know what things to look forward to. So I think that's important. Even for people who are big techies like me, something as simple as having a paper calendar.
Well, I'm interested here considering, as you well know, I call you the king of IT, which is our affectionate term for you. So, and also just to factor in here that you're talking about writing with a pen on a calendar shows this is the Middle-aged Bodcast, and we're actually got an audience that would know what that means, because I don't think anybody under the age of about 30 now knows what a pen or paper is, or a calendar on a wall. It's good that even somebody as tech savvy as yourself is still prepared to use other old school methods to help you with your routine.
I think it is really useful, and actually something, I haven't done it for a long time, but something that I used to do, a bit of autograph collecting and writing to people to collect autographs and request them from them, and I'd handwrite everything. It's just more personal. It's something, and actually writing something with a pen and paper is actually a much nicer thing than typing it all out on a phone, or I don't mind so much on a keyboard. That kind of is something I've done over the years, but certainly a lot of people now, they'll just write things on a phone and try and type stuff out. I don't like that. If I'm writing things, I like to do it on an actual pen and paper or on a keyboard. I do find that a lot more relaxing and something that I can get enjoyment from.
I think it's important to have things on your calendar as well in the future that you're going to do. So away from just your routine stuff, it's those things to look forward to, isn't it? Holidays or sporting events, concerts, whatever it is that people enjoy doing. It's really important to make that time. These things are, really important for your well-being. I think in terms of, people getting caught now in the trap of working more and more hours, spending less and less time actually having social events or going to things, and things are quite expensive with people's sort of cost of living things, but it's still important if you can, I think, making that time and budgeting and things where you can to go and do things and just enjoy things. I mean, we're not ashamed to say here that Rich and I are probably not Gary Barlow and his band's sort of chord dynamic of listeners, but we did go and see Take That on their recent tour at Nottingham Forest football ground, and how enjoyable that was, just standing on a football pitch singing Take That songs.
Well, first of all, T.A., let's not insult the people of Nottingham by calling him Nottingham Forest football ground. We've already gotten in trouble. Mrs. Shelano made a comment, and I know she was only doing it for those not from Nottingham, but a few people did point out it is the City ground, which is weird because it's Nottingham Forest, not Nottingham City that they're called. But yeah, we did jump in and go to help out with some tickets for that, and it was a really good show. It was something I didn't expect to enjoy so much, and how many songs we actually knew. Ollie Murs as a support act, something that fits this episode well with recreation. I quite enjoy a bit of karaoke. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I do sing a few Ollie Murs songs at karaoke, so that certainly helped as well.
I mean, on the Ollie Murs point, I think he's also recently turned 40, so he's certainly perfectly within the genre of this podcast. And I'll be honest, he's in better shape than you or I, and he's probably a better looking man than you or I as well, to be fair, and a better singer than, well, definitely me and possibly you. But he was doing some things on that stage that night that, I'm not so sure were age appropriate. It's like he's not 25 on X Factor anymore. Ollie, just go out there and sing for the crowd. I'm not sure that some of his movements were quite age appropriate.
They were tongue in cheek, but yeah, I think you're right. And just on that with concerts, obviously we have a few things booked up for the future, which we're really looking forward to. Can certainly say the experience of going to see Becky Hill in a few months is going to be a good one. Really looking forward to that. Shout out, by the way, to Ollie Murs, Take That, and Becky Hill. If any of you really do want to be on the Middle-aged Bodcast, you're more than welcome. I'm sure that they're just desperate to be on the show right now in its infancy, but certainly we are looking to potentially get some more guests on the show in all seriousness. So if there is anyone out there that wants to be a part of this and talk about things like recreation like we are today, please do hit us up on social.
Well, I can tell you, Rich, that I've had a message this morning. Somebody I know has actually turned 40 today. And boy, oh boy, have they put you, me, and a lot of people to shame. On their 40th birthday, they've gone out for a park run. Right? I mean, that is a commitment and a half. They have said that their time was a little bit worse than when they were 39, which I think is quite funny. So maybe that's, again, a guest who could come on, inspire us in our fitness journey, inspire the listeners out there. Anybody who's prepared to go out and do a run on their birthday, let alone a special birthday, is obviously a much more committed fitness person than you or I. Although I have done Sean T this morning as well. So Sean, if you're listening, you'd be proud of me. That's 5 this week.
I tell you what, Sean T's been getting some good promotion from us as well, hasn't he? It is a really good a program. It's a really good program, and I've seen the difference from what you doing it a few years ago as well. So it is something, and obviously we're not sponsored by Sean T or anything like that. But these kind of things do help, and I think for our listeners out there, if there is anything, we're obviously not the best advocates, I think, for exercise, but certainly something we've been getting into.
Well, go with what you like as well. I mean, Mrs. Shelano likes the Joe Wicks workouts. Obviously, Sean's an American. From a British point of view, the Joe Wicks workouts were very popular for people during the COVID lockdowns and whatnot. And I know still something that a lot of people enjoy, and certainly it's something that she enjoys. So it's finding something you enjoy, and I think that's the key, isn't it? Because if you enjoy what you're doing, then it doesn't feel so much of a chore, even when exercise is hard, and you feel that benefit of it, and are more likely to stick with it, really.
Yeah, I think so. I think for me the big thing when we're talking exercise, I really don't like the gym. I started trying to do the gym about 10 years ago. I did go quite regularly, but I just didn't enjoy it. And I do find, actually, I've got an exercise bike at home, so I use that sometimes. But yeah, it is something that you've got to sort of try and do, and just something you enjoy. Like you say, I do quite enjoy it, and you can play a bit of music. I'm trying to find something that's got like a track or something as a video, so I can just put a TV on, and then it's like I'm cycling on a road or something like that. I think that might be quite motivational and helpful. It might not be, but
maybe you should do it to something like Rocky. When he's running through the streets of is it Philadelphia, and he runs up the steps. Do you remember? Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if I have the physical attributes of Sylvester Stallone to be able to.
Well, this is an audio, so I'll confirm to listeners that no, you haven't.
Well, yeah. But thank you very much for that, T.A. But yeah, it is something, and as we said, it's not just about exercise, it's about things you enjoy in life that help with not only your physical health but your mental health. Obviously we had the chat with Laura a few episodes ago, and there's a lot of things for mental health that can help, and as you said earlier, T.A., with the concerts and things like that. So we've booked a few things up that I'm really looking forward to over the next few months, so that should be something that will help just to get out of the house and do something enjoyable that helps with the mental health, and just sort of providing, I don't really know how to say it, but sort of providing just an outlet, yeah, just sort of a bit of downtime where you can just go out and relax and enjoy some entertainment. So yeah, absolutely looking forward to that, and it should be something that we can hopefully do a bit more of in the new year as well.
And not just in the new year, Rich. I mean, in fact, if we can wrap up dealing with this particular episode of the podcast, we are off to some live entertainment care of a local low division football match this afternoon. So again, anything that you can find in your local community, getting out there in the open air, yeah, just do that. And yeah, even when you're out and about, listen to us at the Middle-aged Bodcast, wherever you may be. And hopefully that this is something that you're enjoying, and will continue to listen as we progress.
Yeah, I think this has been really good to chat about some recreational activities and some things to do in your spare time, just to, as we say, form some good habits. Certainly have been enjoying, like you say, this is not a sports podcast at all, but have had a couple of trips to the local football ground, which has been really enjoyable, just for having a bit of a chat and a bit of a chance to be in the fresh air and enjoy the sunshine that we've been having recently, although based on today's weather there's not been a lot of sunshine. But thank you very much for listening to this episode. We will be back next week with episode 8.
Yeah, episode 8 is going to focus on self-improvement, and I know that number 1 on my list for self-improvement, as was covered at the beginning of this episode, will be that I am going to ensure I can't order a pizza for the remainder of this challenge, or any other takeaway, I suspect, because I have got to make this competitive again. I've fallen too far behind. So self-improvement is very much the topic for our next episode. So join us for that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good one to talk about. I can have a little bit of a chat about my cooking exploits and a few other things as well next week. So please do tune in for that one, wherever you get your podcasts from. As I say, we have now joined Linktree, so there will be in the description a link to all our socials on there, and also TA to your website, shelanobooks.co.uk as well. That's on there. So yeah, please check that out, and we shall see you next week for episode 8 on self-improvement. Thank you very much.